Good morning. I hope you had a beautiful night. And of course, for football lovers, it has been a very long night. Most of the Kenyan fans, but we live to fight another day. It's another great morning. Remember, hashtag is GBS Morning Extra. And today I'm not alone. I'm joined by two gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for turning up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you can introduce yourself.
My name is Kennedy Echesa. I am a lawyer by profession and a teacher of law at the University of Nairobi, Parklands campus.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure too.
And of course, Hudson.
Yes, my name is Hudson Ameya. I'm a student of journalism at USIU Africa, but I'm also an enthusiast of politics.
Okay, enthusiast. I like the one.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be joining them later on. We analyze the newspapers and, of course, the topics of the day. Remember, there's been a lot of politics this weekend, the 2U story that will be following up. But first, let's look at news recap. A revival of the giant textile factory Rivertex this weekend may usher in a new dawn for both cotton farmers and jobs that will be created that President estimated to be around 3,000.
So, this is the one you were saying that because right now both are... We are now Today I call on all county governments to support our farmers by providing them with all the assistance they require at the local level. On our part, as national government, we will continue to improve policy conditions and ease of operations for farmers, while at the same time delivering on direct interventions that make inputs, operations, and support activities cheaper, and also direct interventions that enhance productivity and market access. The Kenyan fashion industry is becoming even more vibrant by the day, as evidenced by some of our designers gaining recognition at global fashion events, including the Cannes Festival and the Dakar Fashion Week. I am encouraged by the vibrancy of this sector and our small and medium enterprises that are producing beautifully homegrown alternatives to imported clothing and textiles.
Okay, now. So you can see now the machine is now moving.
For government to lead by example, I urge all public servants to wear at least one piece of apparel that is made in Kenya on Fridays. Kama hii yangu hii.
And in commemorating African Public Service Week, President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged public servants to take serious the offices they have been entrusted with and embrace transparency and accountability.
Ladies and gentlemen, over the past decade, Africa's economies have been amongst the world's best performing, and there is no doubt that Africa is rising. Spurred by the emerging generation of young persons whose vibrancy, innovation, talents, and ability to turn challenges into opportunity provides our continent with a platform for takeoff and sustainable prosperity. The people entrusted with the management of public resources and the delivery of the public good must do so in an accountable, transparent, and responsible manner. And it is for this reason that my administration has laid special emphasis on the issue of good governance within the public service, as well as heightening our efforts to combat corruption. This is in line with renewed efforts across our continent, as articulated in the Africa Union's theme for 2018. And I quote, "Winning the fight against corruption a sustainable path for Africa's transformation, end of quote.
And now to the ruling party, Jubilee. The leadership row has now taken another new twist after MPs allied to William Ruto are now calling for the resignation of the party's Secretary General Raphael Tuju for allegedly sabotaging the deputy president's moves.
How are you? Very good.
It is very unfortunate that Secretary General ya chama ya Jubilee anaweza kuongea na kupanga jinsi wanaweza kwenda kufufua mambo ya Kiambu kwa mambo ya kanisa. Kwa hivyo leo ningemwambia Raphael Tuju, if you want to engage in divisive politics, you are at the wrong place. Jubilee party is not the party for you. Go to ODM. Hiyo ndio chama imejulikana ya fujo, ya matatizo kila pahali kwenda mbele. Kwa hivyo we want to sound it off to our own Secretary General. Wacha kutuambia ati ile recording is a forgery. If there is anything that is a forgery, it is you yourself who is a forgery. Sababu huwezi kuwa una undermine and sabotaging the road that President Uhuru Kenyatta has set out.
Party officials in Jubilee must know that they are managing the party that is responsible for the development of our country. And Jubilee as a party, we undertook that we are going to be a party that is going to unite this country. And we are going to be a party that will eliminate ethnicity and hate and division and build this country on the basis of a manifesto that brings development in every corner of Kenya.
Lakini hatutaki Secretary General mwenye kazi yake ni kutaka kuhujumu chama kutoka ndani.
Siasa ya siku zijazo lazima tujipange saa hizi kwa siku zijazo, na wasiojipanga watakuja kupangwa. Mnakubaliana na mimi? Sisi tumeona rafiki ni nani, tunataka kujipanga na rafiki.
Sasa watu wengi wanasumbuka ati mimi nimetembea Kenya hii. Wangetaka nitembee wapi? Wangetaka niende wapi? Na siku ya kwenda mbinguni haijafika. Kama ingekuwa imefika siku ya kwenda mbinguni, ningekuwa nimejipanga kwenda mbinguni pia. Hata hiyo kwenda mbinguni nimejipanga pia kwenda mbinguni.
And Kapsabet Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi has refuted Mzalendo Trust report that was released on Friday, claiming that he is among the members of Parliament that have been silent in the House and have not contributed or brought any bill in Parliament.
Gazeti wakisema ya kwamba kuna wajumbe huwa waongei bungeni. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie na niwaambia watu wenye wanaandika gazeti, tuko na wabunge 400 bungeni. Na kuwa mbunge unasafanya kazi tofauti. Kuna mwenye anafanya kazi kule nje, kuna mwenye anafanya kazi kule kwa komiti, kuna mwingine. Lakini mimi hiyo bunge ninacheza role kubwa sana, kwa sababu kuna mambo mingi yakitaka kupitishwa ila muhimu huwa sisi tunapatikana kule bunge. But we are not idlers. Nataka niambia kuna watu wa Kiingereza mingi wale tumewachia hiyo kazi ya bunge. Wale marafiki zetu kutoka upande wa Nyanza, kutoka ile makona zingine, kuna watu wanasungukianga hapo bunge. Lakini tuko na kazi mingi ya kufanya. Sijasikia complaint kutoka kwa wananchi, kutoka kwangu. Na hiyo bunge haiwezi leta chakula hapa Kapseret. Kazi ninafanya ndio inatakana nifanye hapa. Tumekuwa na wabunge wengi wenye waliongea bunge hiyo kuanzia asubuhi mpaka jioni. Wanakula lunch bunge, wanakunywa chai bunge, wanakunywa chai saa 10 bunge, wanakunywa pombe ya bunge, lakini mwisho wanaendanga nyumbani wote kwa sababu ya ukumbavu ya kusunguka kwa hiyo bunge. So hiyo ni ukumbavu.
And Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is currently under investigation after he was linked with a militia group that is alleged to be operating within the city.
Militiamen wako wajia huko Al-Shabaab na Somali, wale wanaua innocent police officers wetu, wale wanatufanyia kazi ya amani. Kwa hivyo wewe bwana PS wachana na mimi. Na niko na hakika nitakaa chini na rais atatusaidia na nyote mtapata kazi. Hawa vijana leo ambao bwana PS anaita militiamen, hawa ndio vijana nilikuwa natumia kujazia rais na serikali pale Jubilee wakiwa kampenia. Hawa ndio tulitumia mliposema kule Jakaranda kumwagwe mavi. Hawa ndio vijana walimwaga mavi huko. Hawa ndio wale vijana Jubilee kikampeni. Mkasema mta create nafasi 1 million ya vijana wote Nairobi wapewe kazi. Sasa tumepata serikali mbili, mnaniojia mzigo peke yangu. Mimi siwezi fukuza wao. Mimi nitakufa na wao mpaka dakika ya mwisho.
And those are the main stories that are making headlines this morning. My name is Muema. And now we need to look at what the papers are saying. Remember, you can get in touch with us through our Twitter. That is hashtag GBS Morning Extra. And also remember to tag me at @1TomMuema so that I can see it. And also I will sample some of them in the course of the show. And thank you, gentlemen, once more.
Thank you.
We are back again. And we are now going to look at what the dailies are saying. And before that, what are your reactions about the story I've covered this morning, especially the militia group in Nairobi? Echesa.
The militia group in Nairobi is a rare thing. It's a rare thing because the political class is positioning itself to get into 2022. And politicians in Kenya are convinced that if you're not running a militia, a private type of a gang, you cannot do Nairobi politics. Remember from the days of Jeshi la Mzee, from the days when the late Mwenje used to have the militia. So there is that reinvention of the old way of doing politics. Yeah. So that if you are a gentleman like some people we know within Nairobi, you cannot win an election. And therefore this militia thing is real.
Okay. Is it really a militia or is it just a gang to help in campaigns? It is a militia.
It is a militia because it is armed. The political class arms it. It gets instructions. And from the news you've heard the governor say that ile watu tulikuwa tunatumia kutupa mavi Jakaranda. If a governor can use, if a ruling party can use such a gang to do what the governor has said, then it's called a militia. If they are given instructions to kill, they will kill.
So it's something to worry about?
It's something to worry about. And a serious country should have taken serious steps.
And if it has been there for that long, why now?
It has been there for some time, but there came a time when we are moving from a certain generation of politics. We were moving away from the confrontational type of politics by the likes of Fred Gumo, the late David Mwenje, but more importantly, because of the 2008 experience. This experience and the subsequent ICC threat, the ICC indictment of 6 Kenyans, made some politicians fear the use of gang or the use of militia, because they knew they will be answerable to the International Criminal Court. But this fear is that it has been overcome by time. And that is why we have the re-emergence of these groups we call militias.
Okay. Hudson, what's your take on that? Are you aware of that militia too?
I am not privy to it. I think the governor knows better than me. Okay. But it's a very unfortunate situation. I agree with what Wakili is saying that this is a replica of what has always been there every election time or every time we're heading to a serious election. And if we're not careful, 2022 might be, we might have more militia gangs than there was in 2017 or even 2007. So I think I also share in his sentiments that the politicians are, positioning themselves for the battles ahead. And one of their strategies is to organize people who will frustrate their enemies, and which is not a good thing for this country.
It seems like it's a way of politics in this country.
It's a way of politics, and it's very unfortunate.
Okay. Let's now shift to papers. We'll discuss more about that. And the Standard has given a priority to Uhuru allies back Tuju on Ruto threat. Leaders allied to President defend Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju, asking his critics, majority who are allied to DP William Ruto, to wait for Jubilee elections so that they can elect new leaders. And of course, Kiambu women rep Gabon wa Mushomba wants elected leaders and state officials blocked from traveling abroad for treatment so that they can do more to improve the local health. And also they have also highlighted the slain Kanu man beat. That is a County Mounds former Kapiego Ward rep Benson Kiptire, who rose against a strong United Republic Party storm to clinch the seat in 2013 general election on a Kanu ticket. Gentlemen, let's talk about this. I don't know whether to start with let's start with this Wamshomba story. Should public officials be blocked from traveling for treatment?
That is, in my opinion, a reckless statement from an elected leader. Every Kenyan under our constitution has a right to health.
Including leaders.
Including leaders. And it is not just health. We call it the highest sustainable standard of health. And therefore, every person must be allowed to seek medication wherever that person wants. It will be wrong because of politics of populism to bar our leaders or anyone for that matter from traveling abroad to get medication. What Wamchomba is saying could be correct politically, but in all other spheres is a statement to make us worry. Because what leaders ought to do is to develop our hospitals. It does not mean that they are developing those hospitals for themselves. That's a selfish way of thinking. Let them make facilities better for this country. Wamchomba is simply telling us that if God tells us our leaders will not fall sick, we do not need to develop hospitals.
That's a very serious argument. Anyway.
No, I beg to disagree with Wakili on this one. You know, the president has a project, the universal health coverage. And this is not a project that only covers leaders. It covers all Kenyans, you know, whether you come from Kakamega, you come from Nakuru, every part of this country. And one of the biggest problems that UHC is experiencing is lack of enough capital to fund the whole project. Okay. And now, you know what Honorable Mashomba is saying is that let us limit the traveling of public servants abroad to expensive hospitals using public money, and bring those people, I mean, and enhance our hospitals here, build capacity for them to be able to provide treatment for not just Kenyans, but our leaders. Because clearly, if leaders do not trust the hospitals here, who are we as Kenyans to trust them? You know, we follow our leaders. And if they cannot trust the capacity of our hospitals here, then we should not trust them as well as Kenyans. So what Mashomba is saying is that our Kenyan hospitals, as currently constituted, are able to provide proper health care, and that leaders should not travel for the same.
And also banning them will mean that they will have to pump more money on the hospitals so that when they fall sick, they just go there.
Yes.
But Wakili has a different opinion.
Yes, I have a different opinion. It does not mean that when our leaders travel out, they are going to get well. All I'm defending is the right of every Kenyan to get medication wherever that person wants. We've seen very serious senior government officials passing on while undergoing treatment abroad, and we bring them back when they are dead. And therefore, it is a serious contravention of our international laws to bar any person from seeking medication from that facility the person thinks will bring back life to him.
So it's legally wrong?
It's legally wrong.
Okay.
Morally, it could be right as it says, but legally it is wrong.
Okay, what about these Jubilee wars? Now they are calling for resignation of Raphael Tuju.
That is a non-issue politically. That is mere rhetoric from the adherents of the Tangatanga movement. Tuju is going nowhere. Tuju is in Jubilee to stay for two simple reasons. One, Tuju is entitled to his own opinion and thought. Tuju is not a robot to be controlled by any sphere of politics, by any gang, or by any political class. Okay. Two is that Tuju is not an appointee of those MPs making noise that he must resign. Tuju is an appointed official of Jubilee. The appointing authority is one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So as at when and until Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta tells Tuju to step down, Tuju shall remain in office. He shall not succumb to threats.
Absolutely. And you know, some of these MPs calling for his resignation are clearly desperate. I mean, this is not the first time we're encountering such calls for Tuju or any other you know, leader in a political party to resign. We had the 2017 primaries, you know, pre-election primaries, where Raphael Tuju, among other leaders in Jubilee, were accused of orchestrating, you know, ouster of senior political bigwigs in the Jubilee party and favoring other candidates for the tickets. So this is not something that is new. We are going to see. I agree with Wakili when he says that Tuju is in Jubilee to stay. He's going nowhere. Okay. And I think this manifests clearly the division that you know, David Murathe, the chairman, the former chair of Jubilee, was saying that there are two factions, and clearly the Tanga, which is now attacking Raphael Tuju because things do not seem to go well with for their side.
Yeah, it seems there's a lot of rift in the Jubilee party. And
now there's a very big rift, and clearly things are not going to be the same in future.
Okay. And I think to add on that, in my own humble opinion, there is no rift in Jubilee party. There is only rift between President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, because these factions are rotating around them. If Uhuru were to issue a different direction, the politics of Jubilee will take a different direction.
You know, Wakili, if you say that there's a rift between William Ruto, the deputy president, and Uhuru, the president, you are clearly saying that there's a rift in the party. Because that is
we cannot dispute the fact that this party was made by these two
individuals.
Yes, and that is in Kenya political parties are based on individualized.
That one I agree. What I don't agree is where Kenyans are hiding from the truth. You know, when we say we have a problem in the political party, people may think that all is well between Kenyatta and Ruto. Actually, this problem in Jubilee is trickling down from the differences between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. And the differences between the party, and the party is actually divided into two, is a division of personalities. So that those who identify with President Kenyatta, they are going different direction. Those who are identifying with William Ruto, going different direction.
And now the question will be, why now? In the first term, these two guys were calling each other brothers. They were working together. They were reading from the same script. But right now, yes, it seems that the scripts are different.
It is
the
true.
president is saying, don't campaign. The deputy president is campaigning. He's very busy campaigning every weekend. Let's hear from
one of the reasons why there is a rift right now is that there is, on one hand, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is envisioning his legacy. And on the other hand is William Ruto, who is seeing State House in 2022. So the president wants to leave a legacy, because clearly in the first 5 years, there was nothing to smile about, Jubilee government. And now Uhuru has realized that should he not focus on development in his final term, it's going to be a problem for him to even, you know, for people to clap for him as he leaves the stage in 2022. So that is, I think, where there is the differences in their ideas. Because Ruto is focused on what he is going to achieve, and Uhuru is also focused on what he wants to achieve.
Okay, does it mean that Ruto is the stumbling block towards Uhuru's legacy?
Clearly he is. And many times you have seen the president cautioning leaders to campaign. But the deputy president is the very first person who defies that order. And in fact, he is even going ahead to go into the president's backyard to do the same. So clearly, if you defy the president, it means you are not reading on the same script.
Okay, Wakili, before you react, let's link that story to this one in the Star. They're saying Uhuru will not hand power to a thief.
That is Murathe.
Yeah, that's Murathe saying.
Yes.
The former Deputy Secretary General Jubilee Party. Instead, you hear someone publicly saying that the war on corruption would not hinder him from becoming the next president. Wakili.
Yes.
You seem now the Jubilee Party is under real fire right now.
The house is under fire. I agree. But this house under fire is the two gentlemen, the purported co-owners of the house, that are in real trouble. When Murathe speaks again, it confirms the worst of my fears and worries, that it is Uhuru speaking.
Yes.
Murathe and Uhuru are inseparable. When Murathe was issuing outbursts against the DP and making what we could refer to as reckless statements, Uhuru Kenyatta has never confronted Murathe, has never contradicted Murathe. But when Moses Kuria attempted to twist his lips against the president's thinking, he was blasted by Uhuru Kenyatta immediately.
True.
This tells you one thing, that Murathe speaks Uhuru's mind, and that whatever Murathe speaks has been sanctioned by the owners of Udhamaki. It is the owners of Udhamaki that tell Uhuru what to do.
And it was not just the president who did not react on Murathe's statements. Also, members of parliament who are allied to the president did not. Yes, they did not utter a word against Murathe.
So it's clear Uhuru is not going to support his deputy, as per now.
I was not convinced until the Akurino hosted Uhuru. I was also buying the idea that you see Uhuru could be doing this to Dwink Raila Odinga and say it as half peace for the sake of this country, but at an opportune time, he will say, William is my brother, let me support him. But having watched the president lambast his deputy and his critics in vernacular on national television, on a national event, it confirmed to me that the two have parted ways. And Uhuru Kenyatta will not be supporting William Ruto for the 2022 presidential elections. At the very best for William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta will keep aloof and say, let Kenyans decide.
Okay, so he'll take a wise decision.
In an unlikely event that he takes that route, that's what he will do.
What do you foresee president coming out clearly and say it's really difficult to work with William Ruto currently? So when we are overseeing there's something, maybe there might be a referendum coming.
I mean, why not? President Uhuru is one man who says his mind, who speaks his mind, and he confronts you when he wants to, when he is actually frustrated at his worst. And, you know, last week, I think he told members of parliament that his choice for 2022 would surprise many people. So I might not be in a position to predict what exactly he meant by that. But clearly to me, the fact that things are not okay right now, they might not be okay also in future.
Okay, and do you think the referendum is a trap? Maybe to William Ruto and maybe to maybe gauge his loyalty to president? No,
it's not, the referendum is not a trap. I think it's going to be a political weighbridge between those who are opposing it, of course, the deputy president leading the way, and those who are pro-referendum, the Honorable Raila Odinga.
But the deputy president has been opposing while the president supported the referendum.
I mean, I have not seen any single time when the president has publicly said that we're going to a referendum. If any time, in any case,
let me remind you what he said. I'll quote him and remind you what he said. He said, this country, we now need to engage in a dialogue. The thing of president take call should be changed. That's definitely what this referendum is being advocated for.
In Kisumu, the president indicated that if we have a problem with our laws, then it is better if we review those laws, you know. But he did not actually suggest that he is pro-referendum. And in any case, there was a time he actually said that the country is not ripe for that referendum. So I do not think the referendum is a trap for anybody. Ruto has his constitutional right to say no to what he believes is not right. And Raila has also his way, or rather the pro-referendum people have what they think is okay for them.
Okay. Wakili, it seems Ruto is aware that maybe the president might not endorse him, and is right now assembling his arsenals.
His machinery.
Yeah, towards the election. Do you think the Ruto will need the backing of the president to take the power?
As an individual, the president will not have any impact on William Ruto's 2022 politics. As an individual. But what Ruto has to worry about is the issue of the state machinery. The state machinery does not refer to the vehicles or helicopters or the police officers to accompany him on the rallies. The state machinery is the intelligence. The state machinery, IEBC has become part of the state machinery. We all know that in 2013, Raila Odinga was a front runner as the prime minister in Kibaki's government. But because he was denied the state machinery, he was denied the intelligence. The IEBC and the state were one and the same thing. Whatever happened, happened. And therefore, if the state does not want William Ruto to become president, he will not become president.
So that's his biggest challenge.
That is his biggest
but
challenge.
you see, Wakili, when you say the state, you're actually referring to the president, because by that time he will still be in the position of the head of state. So until he hands over power. Yes. So in other words, you're saying that the president might not support.
He will not support William Ruto. And I wanted
Which
to,
I agree.
To add something to what my brother was saying and agree with you that indeed Uhuru Kenyatta supports the referendum. He has said it outright in Kisumu, as you've put, but more importantly, he has said it constructively. When he does not come out clearly to lambast the Keleweke team for advocating for referendum, and then he threatens the Tanga movement for moving around the country campaigning, yet it is not an elective time, then it is constructive that his thoughts belong to what the Keleweke team is doing. He has actually identified with one faction within the political class, which faction supports the referendum.
Okay.
And remember, it is the referendum that catapulted William Ruto into national politics. The 2010 referendum, when he was saying no, William knew that this Katiba was good. And
It seems he's used to saying
he
no.
used it to gauge his popularity and consolidated the Rift Valley.
So he might do the same this round.
This time round, if he's not careful, it is the referendum that will bring him down. Because he may want to oppose the referendum. If he opposes the referendum and the referendum wins, that will mark the end of William Ruto. If he supports the referendum and the referendum wins, it will be of no value to him because we shall go to 2022 not knowing how strong or how weak he is, which will be to his disadvantage.
And you see, in my opinion also, if the deputy president was to win the referendum, if he opposes it, if he was to win, then step number one is to consolidate their own house, the Jubilee House. And as it is currently, we have seen a considerable number of members of parliament within Jubilee supporting the initiatives of the referendum. So what it tells you is that Ruto will have a very big problem as we go forward in terms of consolidating his own people first. So there might be a problem for him to consolidate his house.
Okay, and now the Daily Nation, it seems the Daily Nation has somehow shifted the topic to SGR. 3 billion bill for no work on SGR line. Land compensation was that stalled completion of the standard gauge railway in Nairobi-Naivasha stretch could have cost the taxpayer 21 million a day in payment for elder workers and machineries. And Wakili, this is we'll come back to politics later on. The SGR has been in the middle of a lot of controversy, and now they say that they should spend another 3 billion to compensate the landowners and also pay the hired workers. What do you make of this?
This is public theft. And this, I think, demonstrates the inefficiency of our government, the inefficiency of our bureaucratic structures. It is not a surprise that we are paying for a bill that has not been used. Actually, whenever you see in this government or in this time and era, a government paying money for job not done, it is because of those paying have a cut on it, have a cut in it. And I can tell you that this is not in vain. This 3 billion is going to be shared by people within the system.
Okay.
I mean, if indeed there are people who have given out their land for the construction, for the said construction of that line of that phase of SGR, I think they should be compensated. And if that money then is not going to be used to compensate the same people, then what it means is that this is public theft, as Wakili is saying. So I think that we should come up with a structure. Let us identify who those people are. For the sake of transparency, let us identify the people who have given their land and the right documentation so that we can account for this 3 billion. Otherwise, it's going to be a scandal.
There's also been a question of how the SGR is operating. There's a report that last month that the SGR is making losses. And yet, for people who have been along Mombasa Road, they'll testify, even today when you want to book the SGR, you'll have to book like a week earlier before you travel. Now, the question of losses, how are these losses coming in? Because Wakili, many people don't understand how comes the SGR is too busy, yet they're still making losses.
The maintenance costs. I think it's the maintenance and the operational costs of the SGR that are making the SGR make losses. And I will want to agree with the group saying that SGR is making losses because, in my opinion, SGR was a bad idea. We would have invested this money elsewhere. We would have even invested in making our roads better. We would have opened up our interiors. We would have put up our industries. But we took a loan, came up with this GR, whose operational costs outweigh the profits we are making or the money we are making out of it. Therefore, making the entire system run on losses.
Do you think it could be better if we could have maybe upgraded the previous railways?
That would have probably been the best thing to ever happen.
Okay.
I think otherwise. You know, SGR was not a bad project. In my own opinion, the way it was managed from its inception was wrong, and that is why we are witnessing these problems right now. I think there are people who said that Ethiopia did the same kind of SGR and at a very cheaper cost than we did ours. It costed us about 350 billion, while it costed Ethiopia 150 billion to construct an SGR that is electric moved. Ours is diesel driven, and it even carries less cargo than the Ethiopian one. So what we should reflect upon is our own goodwill in terms of the kind of projects we bring to this country and how we manage those projects. Okay. So I agree with him that right now there is also very bad management. If you see any company going down in losses, it symbolizes the kind of leadership that is in there.
Okay. So we might not gain anything from this SGR anytime soon.
And we might lose everything because of this SGR venture.
Okay. So it's a bomb just waiting to explode anytime soon.
Yes, we call it a sitting bomb. A sitting bomb.
Okay. Now we shift the focus back to politics again and focus on today's politics. I don't know whether we should take a breather or not, but let's start dwelling in Jubilee Party first. This weekend, Uhuru's visit to Ruto's staff. What does that mean politically, especially at this moment?
I think the president's visit has calmed down his critics, especially from the Rift Valley. I saw Honorable Oscar Sudi speaking, and he was kind of worried when he was speaking, but he was pointing out something to the head of state, that the region was waiting for him to endorse the deputy president. Clearly, that was a political move. The launching of Rivertex that day was a political move, which the president, in the wisdom of his advisors, I think did it at the right time. But as we move forward as a country, I think it is not good for us to reward political supporters or political, people who support you politically with gains, such kind of material, activities. But I'm not saying that Rivertex or the relaunching of Rivertex is a bad idea. That I'll come back to it in terms of its business implications in this country. But I still think that it was a political move by the president, and because since that time, the Tanga movement has not made any remarks against the president, which would otherwise have been the show.
Okay. And Wakili.
Yes.
This Rivertex revival mostly at this time. Do you think it was Uhuru's chance maybe to calm down the temperatures, and he stayed away from politics that day? He never touched anything.
Even the deputy president.
Yeah, he never touched anything to do with politics. Do you think it's the right time now to show that the people maybe of that region he still cares and he still values them?
That would be one way of looking at it. Other way of looking at it would be that this visit was a political setup by the State House operatives to achieve two things. One, if Uhuru Kenyatta would have been heckled in Eldoret, it would have actually brought the Jubilee marriage to almost a near collapse. And that is what the state operatives wanted to achieve, those who are opposed to William Ruto. Two, if Uhuru Kenyatta would have been forced through the political heat to re-endorse William Ruto and reassure him that I am with you, William Ruto would have achieved and said, the president is still with me. Remember when Tom Mboya was killed brutally in 1969, Kenyatta made a move to visit Kisumu. And that is now what sealed the hatred between the Kikuyu nation and the Luo nation as at that time. Because Kenyatta was even stoned, a presidential motorcade being stoned because of Mboya's murder. Is that the tensions and the fear in Luo nation at that time was real. So Uhuru chose to visit Eldoret at a time when the political temperatures were very high, to just gauge how effective, how bad is the situation. And what was the outcome? There's nothing wrong. People are not as sad as Kina Oscar Sudi would be saying. Because if whatever venom that Oscar Sudi puts into the national media is anything to go by, we were expecting the president to have a rough time. We've had the Luo nation heckling Odinga whenever he says something that they think is not very constructive to them. When he was praising President Kenyatta the other day in Kisumu and Kondele, presidents were telling him, no, Baba, there you are wrong. Therefore, they will not fear him. So if the Kalenjin nation thought that Uhuru was mistreating William Ruto, then that was a time for them to show that indeed Uhuru Kenyatta is wrong and they're asking for something out of him. Remember the very first time that the president and the deputy were visiting Nandi Hills, when Alfred Keter was forming himself into a rebel. Alfred would go onto the podium and confront both the president and the deputy president in their presence. And the public will clap and say, Alfred, what you have done is right. But now, we've seen President in Oscar Sudi's staff. It's not by coincidence that he went into Oscar Sudi's staff. And remember, people were afraid, even the organizers were afraid on what Oscar Sudi will do. And we have that silent resistance, even among the Kalenjins themselves, that they have not benefited much from the so-called marriage between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. The maize farmers, for example, are all crying and saying, we are not seeing the benefit of this government. So Uhuru Kenyatta, in a way, is demonstrating to the people of the Rift Valley, the Great North Rift, that look, whereas your son is moving from church to church every Sunday donating tons of cash, I can come with a difference. I can come with development. Let us do development. Let us open these rivertex and let us ensure that the people from this region and the nation benefits from this project. He's doing things differently, and that is how the public is likely to perceive him.
Okay, Hudson, do you also think that was a litmus test, according to Wakili?
Yes, it was, because this comes days after Honorable Oscar Sudi had bitterly, he's always bitter against President and the so-called, the other faction of Jubilee, Kieleweke team. He has been very critical against that team. And clearly, I agree with the Wakili that it was no coincidence. The president decided to go there out of his own strategy. And the response was in favor of the president, because what came out was that the residents do not approve of the kind of politics Mr. Sudi is playing. They actually approve the developmental politics that are championed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. So coming with projects instead of rhetoric, because either way, all the things that Oscar Sudi is championing for is for President Uhuru Kenyatta to publicly say, I'm supporting William Ruto. Oscar Sudi is not even asking the president to come with projects. It's the president who is coming with projects. So I think it was a litmus test, and Uhuru is the winner.
Okay. Okay, and Wakili, let's now put another scenario. What do you make of Raila Odinga not being present in that event?
Please repeat.
What do you make of Raila Odinga not being present at that event?
Well.
And what if he was there?
When you are doing some litmus test, you don't go full hog. It may backfire on you. Next time President Kenyatta goes to the Rift Valley, 2, 3, 4 times, you can be sure he will be accompanied by Raila Amolo Odinga. And Raila Amolo Odinga is a shrewd politician. If he would have been there, he would have played politics according to the circumstances of the day. he would have said, for example, that he has no problem with William Ruto because they are not in competition. And that happens when William Ruto goes to Luo Nyanza for his church tours. He calms and plays second to Baba. When William Ruto accompanies Uhuru Kenyatta to Kisumu, you see, he plays like he is now below the two of them. If Raila would have gone to that particular event, again, it would have been William Ruto on trial. We all know that William Ruto has been to Raila's staff. He has not been heckled. He has been received warmly, even if there was no much cheering, but there are no bad or sad incidents. If Raila Odinga would have gone to Eldoret and he was heckled, then the thinking of the rest of the nation against William Ruto's support base would have changed.
Okay. Okay, and now we are taking a breather. We'll be back and continue discussing matters, politics, and of course the events that happened this weekend. And we'll dwell more on, it seems the ODM is benefiting more in the handshake deal than the other party, which is now struggling.
That is a fact.
Okay, we'll be back with that. And of course, we are now, this is GBS Morning Extra. We'll be back after this short break. Remember, you can continue tweeting us, hashtag GBS Morning Extra. And of course, I'll be sampling some of your tweets when we come back after the break.